Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. One of the most famous figures in all of crypto just said, and I quote, XRP activity just went vertical, end quote. And I'll show you exactly what he's referencing, and it is actually true. There's a particular metric that you're going to want to see here. It's extra fascinating, though, because this particular figure has been very clearly biased against XRP going back almost a decade at this point. So it's nice to see that even an account like this is kind of catching up to speed on what we've all known is the case here. Now, I will say, in the short term, it's certainly possible that the market could pull back. There are lots of reputable chart analysts that I follow that have been warning that XRP specifically is in danger of falling back to a certain degree. Now, the good news is, out of all of these analysts that have been warning about this, just about 100% of them say this isn't something that's going to break higher time frame structure. It doesn't mean that you have to panic. XRP would still go on ultimately to achieve new all-time highs because this comes from people who are actually still bearish or bullish rather, and so it would just be shorter-term price action. So I mentioned that just to note, just make sure everyone's on the same page here. If the market is not done shaking people out, that would be within historic norms. If the market does indeed go lower, it doesn't mean that you need to panic. It doesn't mean that you need to lose sleep at night. Welcome to crypto, the most volatile asset class on the entire planet. But that does not mean that big picture, the higher time frame, it doesn't mean that it's all broken. In fact, the best is still yet to come. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, now, as I record this video, it is 4:31 a.m. Central Time, so it's now Thursday, December 4th, 2025. XRP is $2.16. Bitcoin at $93,403. So over the last 24 hours, basically just moving sideways here. But we will not be staying here for long. Take a look at this post from TechDev, one of the more popular analysts and well-known in crypto. 560,000 followers, well-deserved, I'd say, on social media platform X. And he shared this chart. And he said, liquidity cycle lows have always been the start, not the end. And of course, so that's the Bitcoin price line at the top. And then you've got liquidity down here, and this is showing the trend. So this chart, it's a simple reminder of something that I wish more people in crypto understood. Because as far as I'm concerned, this knowledge is foundational. Every major crypto bull run has started the same way. At the exact moment global liquidity bottoms out. Those lows are never the end of the cycle. They're the beginning, okay? That's why this is foundational. And you see the liquidity wave trough down. I mean, you can look at it right here. If you look at the screen, you see where I'm moving my mouse right here. So you can see the trough. Then you get the crossover, starts to go the other direction. And historically, that's when the explosive part of the market kicks off. And we just went through another one of these lows in the cycle. That's the whole point. This time isn't different. This time is very much the same as every other freaking time. The liquidity engine is turning back up and crypto moves downstream from that. And this chart goes back to the beginning of time for Bitcoin. It's going back to 2010. This is just how it works. And so just to be clear, this bluish, maybe teal light, whatever the hell that color is, that's not the level of liquidity. It's showing you the rate of change. Are we increasing at a particular pace or decreasing? Because right now, if you were looking at in terms of like the dollar figure of liquidity, we're hanging out around all-time highs already. But is it picking up pace going in that direction or the other direction? Well, it's actually this data shows. That's what this metric is. It shows it is increasing actually, which is what you'd expect based on all of the data that I keep showing you. And this is why I keep insisting macro is much more important than just charting. Macro is what is going to give you the strongest hints about what is probable. That's why I keep saying this time is not different. So if you understand this will get you a long bit of the way there. This is one of the many reasons that I am very, very optimistic that we are going to have a full-blown alt season. The cycle simply isn't done yet. And XRP, I believe, will be one of the greatest beneficiaries of an environment like that, which is coming up. This time is not different. Here's a post from on-chain analytics firm Swissblock. Simply wrote, "Here we are. Bitcoin is testing the yearly open." That's right, folks. We're green for the year. Did y'all know that? After recently being down a fair bit below where the price of Bitcoin opened 2025. And so anyway, they simply wrote here, break above it, and the next stop sits at $97,000 to $98,500. This is the level that unlocks momentum. So they're basically saying if you get to that point, you've got that opportunity to move to the upside. So to be clear, it's not guaranteed here. I fully acknowledge you could go down. The market could go lower in the short term. But part of the reason that I don't make short-term price predictions, outside the fact that I'm not a chart analyst and I don't want to be one, that's just not my shtick, is I just don't give a damn. I mean, it's kind of interesting because I got skin in the game, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't matter in the end. What matters is macro. What matters is the overall trend. And everything points to we are not done moving to the upside. I feel bad for the chart analysts out there that just don't know any better, and they don't know that they should be staring at macro much more intently. Here's a post from chart analyst Gert Van Lagen. It says, this is fascinating, especially if you were following me throughout most of 2024. I talked a lot about XRP Bollinger Bands and how they become the tightest in history, and that is what precedes massive breakouts. I got something pretty samey here for Bitcoin because the party's not over, so this shouldn't surprise you, but here's what he highlighted. Bitcoin 1 month Bollinger Band width just dipped below 100, flashing a rare green signal. Historically, every time this triggers, Bitcoin follows with a direct parabolic leg up. No red signal flashed in the previous months. And so you so you can see that's what the purple line is down here. That's the Bollinger Band width. And so it's showing here, let's just say, a substantial reduction in volatility. And I know we just came off the crash, but it's saying if you look over a certain period of time here, and that's why I picked the 1 month, it has decreased. And this is going back to like what, 2013 here? This is going back to 2013, this chart. So every single time you've ended up at this end of the range, what has followed ultimately, not down to the day or the week necessarily, but you can see what happened, Bitcoin just rocketed to the upside. So if we are in an environment where Bitcoin's going to rocket to the upside, what do you think that means for altcoins? Because look, I refuse to believe that that Bitcoin's not going to hit some sort of parabolic top and then have people rotate into the stuff that hasn't gone yet. That does not make sense. Not in an environment where the macro is what the macro is. I just don't buy that. So is this time different? I doubt it. I do not think this time is likely to be different. Here's a post from chart analyst Jelly. He says, Bitcoin is bouncing back up after correcting 36% from its current all-time high. Nothing we haven't seen before. Long-term market structure remains intact as well. And look at all of these pullbacks that we've seen going back about a decade at this point. And so many of these happened even during very obvious bull runs. And I got to tell you, every single one of these was declared to be the beginning of a bear market. Every single one of them. Only 2 of them were. How many do we have here? How many are on the screen here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. These are pullbacks that are, looks like some are at least 20, but a lot of them are over 30%. All of them were declared to be the beginning of bear markets, just like the one we're in right now. But the thing is, historically speaking, this is actually pretty normal. Just saying here, folks. Here's a post from chart analyst Matthew Hyland. It's a market cap Bitcoin dominance percentage chart. And he wrote here, if the ETH BTC chart breaks up, then Bitcoin dominance inevitably breaks down. And it seems obvious, like, that's pretty much what he's expecting right here. And he's optimistic that ETH is going to be ripping to the upside, ultimately outpacing Bitcoin. And that would historically be the beginning of alt season when ETH starts going. That's when pretty much everything starts going. So I wouldn't be surprised if that aspect repeats as well. And then in a separate post, he wrote, Bitcoin dominance is in a weekly downtrend. It is bearish. And that's great. The price of Bitcoin can rocket higher, even if if you're looking at the Bitcoin dominance percentage chart, that can go down. And so many analysts that I follow are like, yeah, it's actually looking pretty damn bearish. Well, I would hope so at this point. I'm very happy to see that. So Bitcoin can still go on a parabolic rip, and it just means altcoins are outpacing it. Here's a post from Crypto Wizard. He thinks that this is possible as well. This is an ETH BTC chart. Will it break? For 101 days, Ethereum against Bitcoin has been in a downtrend. Ethereum is now trying to break out once again. If successful, it could lead to a rally targeting 0.04 and Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance declining will help. So he's saying it's a time at least to watch to see if this is the actual breakout moment. But I'll just say this, even if it isn't right this second, you can see directionally where this is going. It's the same thing that I said with XRP throughout most of 2024. I was always up front. I was like, guys, I don't know where the bottom is, but markets find bottoms. And XRP looked pretty piss poor, like on an XRP BTC chart. It's looking better than it did a year ago. That's a little over a year ago, especially. But also true of the XRP USD chart, much better. And markets do find bottoms. So even though, of course, there's no way I could have known when it was going to break, there are so many reasons that I articulated throughout the year that was why I believe that XRP would break to the upside. And of course, I was right about that, as was everyone else. And all of the chart analysts that were pointing out all the things that I highlighted on my channel, proving that that was most probable. Yes, that was correct. So my point in saying that is, even if this isn't the moment and you have to wait a month or 2 or 3, whatever the hell it ends up being, it'll end up being worth the wait. It's coming, folks. Here's a post from Mikey Bull Crypto. Speaking of markets finding bottoms, this is the Others BTC chart. So Others, the Others chart, it just shows the all the altcoins. Well, it's the entire crypto market. Well, the top 125 coins technically, excluding the top 10 coins by market cap. So it's basically just capturing altcoins except for the very top coins and Bitcoin. And it's pricing that against Bitcoin. And this chart's showing, obviously, that for years now, altcoins have been falling dramatically against Bitcoin. Let me tell you what I said last year, applied here. Markets find bottoms. I don't know exactly where the bottom's going to be, but this thing's going to rip to the upside. We're going to have a proper alt season here. It doesn't mean that most coins are even going to hit new all-time highs, but there's going to be crazy money flowing through the space. There's going to be a lot of opportunity. The opportunity is going to be very real, but we're not. You don't just fall down with no stop for all time. That's not how this markets find bottoms, folks. It's the same thing I said about XRP. It's going to be true here at some point. I just don't know exactly when, but I don't have to. That's the great thing. This is why I love my strategy. I wish more people would preach this, frankly. Because all you got to do is have broad exposure to the crypto market, and then you just wait. You do nothing. You just be more patient than everyone else, which to me is not that difficult. It's pretty easy to do nothing. For a lot of people, not easy. The impatience eats at them, and then they need to tinker with positions and sell stuff if it's not going because they're bored. And if it hasn't gone by the time I wanted it to, then I guess it's never going to go. That's how these people's brains work, and it's just stupid and wrong. Don't fall into that trap. That's why I always say, when it comes to investing, we are our own worst enemies. But yeah, he simply wrote here, huge breakout imminent. Alt's outperformance begins at any moment. Well, maybe he's right about it being imminent, maybe not. But I would just say, even if it's not, that's fine. Markets find bottoms. Here's a post from Coin Bureau. This is who I was referencing at the outset of the video. So they have the largest crypto YouTube channel in existence with 2.73 million subscribers. And I've been following them for a long time. They do not like them some XRP. They strongly dislike XRP. In fact, frequently it makes me think, they are suffering indeed from XRP derangement syndrome. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. They're not outright trolly about it, but they've just said stuff over the years that's not factually correct. You can see the bias in the way that they'll post on social media. Sometimes they will post some positive stuff, and so, okay. In this case, they're pointing out something that's actually very important right here, so I wanted to highlight this. And so they shared this chart from CryptoQuant, and they wrote, XRP activity just went vertical. Per CryptoQuant, the massive surge in XRP velocity signals rising liquidity and heavy trader or whale movement. Now, folks, them's the facts. Oh, that is absolutely true. And you know when this just started, this most recent part that they circled here in red, it's with the ETF launch. Launches, plural. There's been several of them now. And this is real stuff here. And so, you know, I'll frequently talk about how, you know, it's fantastic that the XRP ETFs were launched because they're backed by actual XRP, and it just opens up the opportunity for regular people going through whatever brokerage they're going through to purchase the ETF backed by actual XRP. So there are people who otherwise maybe wouldn't buy crypto for any number of reasons. They're not comfortable with it. They don't want to set up a new account on a crypto exchange. But if there's an ETF on a platform they're already using, they can click buy. And that is true. But you know what's even more important than that fact? It's the fact that, and the data bears it out. I'll talk more about it in a future video, but it's just a massive influx in institutional dollars that have been flowing in specifically to these XRP ETFs. And I'd be a little too far outside the scope of this video, but I want to expand upon that. There's actual data you can look at that shows it unquestionably, with a very high level of certainty, you can be sure that it's actual institutional money flowing in. So you're talking about wealth management firms, RIAs. I mean, it's going, folks. You look at the massive inflows, you can kind of figure this out. And then the cool thing about that is that doesn't show up in the price right away, because when OTC purchases happen, they don't hit the market right away. These are not hitting the order books on your typical cryptocurrency exchange. They're buying from large organizations. You can't even see the transactions in terms of the specifics of them and who's buying this or that. I mean, you can see, of course, if there's a public blockchain, yes, you can see crypto moving. That part's true. But what I'm saying is, in terms of the supply and demand dynamics, people like you and me who use cryptocurrency exchanges, we're not seeing them on the order books, period. So like if somebody buys, 500 million XRP, I'm just making up a number. Somebody buys 500 million XRP from Coinbase, and it's Coinbase's personal stash, and then they transfer that to whoever the whale is, you're not going to know that. But the next time somebody wants to buy more XRP from Coinbase, and again, this is just a hypothetical, well, if Coinbase is now low on XRP because they just sold 500 freaking million XRP, well, then they have to replenish their stock and get it from somewhere. So it does still ultimately have an impact on demand, but it's delayed. And that's why and so the fact that we're seeing all this exactly when you'd want and hope it to, it is the institutions showing high confidence in XRP and positioning before everyone else. That is what's happening here. Unquestionably, that's what's happening here. Here's a post from chart analyst Dark Defender. It says, many will FOMO when XRP hits $5.85 and then $10 shortly after. They will be the next group to deal with, like the ones who FOMO'd at $3.66. And folks, there's truth to this. Might be some of you listening right now who are new to crypto that FOMO'd in when XRP was $3.66. And you know what? Hey, it's a rite of passage buying stuff way too high and then having to learn from mistakes and then dollar cost average and buy lower. And if you wait long enough, then finally one day, if you didn't buy something stupid, then the prices can go way higher than what you paid. Rite of passage, my friends. But he's right. People, it's just the funniest damn thing. Human psychology, bro. People did not want XRP when it was 25 cents. People just didn't want it. But they wanted it a lot when it hit its all-time high at $3.65, didn't they? Just in July. A lot more people were looking, weren't they? The higher the price goes, the more the people are going to want it. That's real euphoria. That's real FOMO. That's an actual thing that humans do, and they're not done doing it. So yeah, when XRP hits those levels he cited, $5.85 and then $10 one day, assuming the price of XRP gets up there, which I don't think is crazy. I don't know about you guys. I don't think it's crazy. If that ends up happening, you better believe that the people who refuse to buy it at 25 cents will absolutely be paying $10 for it. That's just how humans behave. Here's a post from Chart Nerd. It says XRP has a date with destiny. targets of $13 and $27 fib-based. He says not an if, but a when. So he's been talking about those price levels for a very long time. He refuses to waver despite what the bears are screaming all over the Webernets here. Now, that said, in a separate post, he did acknowledge that it's possible in the short term that you could see, if support doesn't hold there, you could see a breakdown for the price of XRP. Doesn't mean that the higher time frame's broken. I'm telling you, I follow a lot of analysts, and a lot of those analysts who chart XRP, a lot of them are warning that, I don't know if it's most, but maybe it's close to half, I'm not sure, are warning that it's at least possible you could see in the short term XRP break down lower. That's why I keep warning you on the channel. So if it happens, you don't freak out. It doesn't mean that this is something that nobody saw coming or anything like that. It's just something that, based on historical chart patterns, the way things play out, is absolutely plausible. So not everybody's convinced of it, which means it's kind of like, is it going to happen? Flip a coin. Who knows? It seems to be sitting around there, in terms of probability. But I will say this, though. If that actually happens, it probably means that Bitcoin cratered down for one last scare to freak people out. I'd be surprised if XRP on its own is just going to crater down to some sort of notable degree, and then the rest of the market's just fine. Like, I doubt that. That's not typically how this goes down. Here's a post from chart analyst Ali Martinez. He says, if XRP can break past $2.28, a breakout towards $2.75 opens up. So here's another analyst who in the short term is saying, hey, actually, things aren't so terrible that it's impossible, at least in the short term, to even get back up to that level. It's all just a matter of time. What I'm saying right now about, hey, all we have to do is wait. I believed this back in 2017. I said it when I launched my YouTube channel a year later in late 2018, talked about it in 2019, and you know how low the price of XRP was back then. So we have a new norm. So we're at a much higher level than back then. The same concept applies. Those who wait just win. That's how investing works here. So you don't need to be stressing about it, because you don't have to question whether or not XRP will make it. That question's been answered. The answer is yes. XRP is an early winner of the crypto space. It is functionally useful. The fundamentals have never been stronger. It's being adopted by traditional finance. The institutions are coming in. They're coming at the same time that a lot of idiot lemming retail speculators are panic selling, actually. Isn't that something? So the institutions are purchasing the fear of the idiot lemming retail speculators. Little clap there for him. Failing. He's completely failing. That's always how it goes, though. Here's a post from chart analyst CW. He says, if XRP rises to $2.30, most short positions will be liquidated. Well, I hope that happens. I mean, I don't have any sympathy for people that are playing with fire, which is to say playing with leverage here. It's just such a bad idea. Unless you're a true professional trader, which is a tiny percentage of anyone that uses it, you're just making a ridiculous mistake. That's my opinion. Just to know that you can make in crypto thousands of percentage point gains, but you need to add some pepper to that. You got to add leverage. Really? I will never put myself in a position where there's even a tiny fraction of a percentage chance that I could be liquidated. Because what I'm looking for is generational wealth, and I know that can be achieved without gambling, because that's effectively what this is for most people. It's just gambling. It's just the stupidest crap. Here's a post from chart analyst Tara. For the sake of time, I won't read this thing. But warning still, this is the latest warning from her, that you could see XRP drop to $1.88. I've seen that from a lot of analysts. I'm just sharing a couple examples with you in this latest Moon Lambo hot jam. Doesn't mean it has to happen. But the good news is when that happens, I mean, you just got rid of even more weak hands, and then it'll, if anything, be that much easier to move to the upside. Then there was this from chart analyst Zoom. And so this is one of the, I guess, 3 chart analysts that I follow. I think it's 3 chart analysts I follow who have officially flipped bearish. The rest of the dozens and dozens and dozens of them say, no, we're still going higher. But I am happy to share perspectives that maybe are minority perspectives. It certainly makes things more interesting to share a diverse array of opinions on the channel. So always happy to do this. And he was pro XRP for a very long time. But he's just being intellectually honest here. I do believe that. And he doesn't think things are looking so hot right now. So I appreciate the honesty. And if he's right, he gets all the credit in the world. And if not, the internet's going to yell at him. Because that's what always happens. I'm so glad I'm not in. Like, you got to have a thick skin if you're going to be, like running a YouTube channel. Because there's just going to be all sorts of jackasses. I mean, it's the internet. You guys are aware of this, right? But I'm telling you, the chart guys out there, whew, they take it way worse. Way worse than people like me. I mean, just if you start saying where you think things are going to go, and here's the chart, and here's the price prediction, yeah, those people, if it doesn't pan out, they really have to take the heat. So anyway, all that to say, I appreciate that he's being intellectually honest here. I know that this isn't what you want to hear, but he's being honest. So we wrote here, XRP still not looking too hot to me, neither is crypto in general. Pretty much everything is under strong resistances, and we're not seeing the Russell have that explosiveness it needs for us to see a good run up. Hate to be the Grinch, but stay cautious with these pumps. Yeah, and fair enough. If that's what he thinks, then that's what he thinks. I hope he's wrong. Of course, I hope he's wrong. I am not compelled to believe this makes sense because when I look at macro, everything that I see about macro says, nope, we're not going to be in some sort of bear market. We're not entering one. I personally don't believe that anyway. And if I'm wrong, then maybe I eat my own words. It's possible. I'm not going to be right about everything. But chart analyst Zoom here, he made it publicly known that he is 100% exited the market. He doesn't hold any crypto. He is sold. And he was very pro XRP. He profited from all sorts of crypto, including his XRP. And so credit to him. Because, he may have sold, but for him, it wasn't panic selling. That's the type of selling where I get critical. If you're making emotionally based buying and selling decisions, that's where I'm like, you're being a damn fool. That's not what he did. He made a calculated decision. He wanted to take some profit. He also thought the market wasn't going to do well, and it wasn't an emotional thing. Yeah, makes sense. I respect that. It's just the emotional buying and selling that the lemming retail speculators always engage in. That's where I'm like, oh, you damn fool all up in this bitch. You damn fool all up in this bitch. Why it is you be doing that? Like, it doesn't make any sense, but people gonna people, So anyway, all that to say, I'm optimistic. I still think the best is yet ahead, even if the market pulls down a bit. It's not going to matter. I'm going to win because I am more patient than every other human investing on this entire damn planet. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say are right. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!